Hello, welcome to the 12 Months Marathon Podcast with me, John Hill, the running podcast for the over 35s with Marathon Dreams, episode 74. Another special guest with me today. I've got Rob Foster with me today. Hi, Rob. How are you?
Good, thank you. Hi, John. Hi, everyone.
Yep, thank you, mate, for coming on. I appreciate it. I've asked Rob to come on because a couple of reasons, really. Because Rob has done his first couple of marathons this year in his 40s. Rob, I've known for a few years now. I'll keep it really, really simple in terms of that. So when I first met Rob, Rob runs a gym. I'll keep it very, very simple in that sense. It runs a gym and also has sort of moved across into more specifically Hyrox coaching. So we'll get it in early. So it's Rob Foster on Instagram. So get over there and give him a follow, especially if you've got any kind of interest in maybe moving across to Hyrox or similar. Rob's definitely worth following. So Rob's very, very much in the Hyrox space and does a lot of Hyrox coaching. But I wanted to talk to Rob because he moved the other way, in my opinion, from Hyrox to marathons, where a lot of people go the flip side, which was kind of the journey that I went on. One of the reasons, primary reasons, actually, I wanted to get Rob on, and you'll see this from following Rob, is his approach to what I call the athletic mindset. So I know a few people who perform at a very, very good level, as Rob does, as we'll talk about. And that's fine. But for me, it's more about the principles and approach of the athletic mindset, which we can all learn from, irrespective of whether we're doing an 8-hour marathon or a sub 3-hour marathon. I think we can all learn from those principles. So I wanted to tap into Rob today. So the first question, Rob, for me, just to give the listeners a bit of background, you just talk me through your journey to getting to being, I suppose, in the fitness space. So how did you find yourself there?
Well, as you say, I'm in my 40s now, so 42, nearly 43. In my 20s, my whole of my 20s, I was in the Royal Marines. So I started pretty much straight after got after sixth form in a job, training to then join the Royal Marines from 20 to 30. I was pretty busy, busiest time that the Corps had for a while in that decade. So I went to various countries, but fitness was a very high standard in the Royal Marines. And although I wasn't, and we'll get onto it, but I'm not a natural runner, there was a lot of running involved. So it's kind of evolved from that. The mindset and the fitness come from my 20s. Very high of the recovery rate when you're in 20s compared to now, which I'm finding out. It's a pretty hard game when you're 40 and still trying to act and train like you're 20.
Yes.
That's another thing we can cover, obviously, just the mindset training.
Absolutely.
In my 30s, as you said, we've got myself, a business partner, got my gyms. That was pretty much taken up. I'd be honest, didn't really run for a whole decade. Had enough running in the Marines, in boots, in phys rig, as we call it, just shorts and t-shirt.
Yeah.
I kind of went off and just did a lot of business growth in that side when we met yourself. We did me and business partner did a lot of bodybuilding training, powerlifting, got into the gym, just lifted weights. CrossFit was big then. So I actually left the Royal Marines at the time that CrossFit was getting big. There's transitions into how that training came into the forces. I wanted to do it as a business, technically. Just open a gym. It looked great. Used to go to a CrossFit gym. I was like, I want that. I want to do that as a day job.
Yeah.
So kind of fell into that. We didn't turn into a CrossFit gym. We just had a Gen Pop type training clientele, I suppose, who want to just get fit. They love the sort of the circuit-based training. In respect, it was kind of a mashup of lifting weights, CrossFit, some higher intensity training. We had sleds when Hyrox wasn't even around. We'd push them through rowing and ski ergs and sprints. And that was my 30s pretty much. And where I maybe ran for a month over the summer when it was nice. Every year, if that, really just tapped into it a little bit. I think I tried a 5K in lockdown and hit 25 minutes was way off. I was over that, and I was like, it's pretty hard. I think I'm not conditioned to this. And coming up to my 40th birthday, it was actually on it, which is New Year's Eve. I was like, I've seen a few people. We knew a few people who did Hyrox back then a few years ago. They were big into it. I was like, I'm going to give this a go. Let's see how we go. So booked London in May of that year, 2023. And then, yeah, from January the 1st, pretty much was like, I need to get running again now. Built right from there. It wasn't easy, as you know, even if you come back from injury or if you're starting fresh, if anyone's trying to build up to a 5K, 10K, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're an experienced runner, you run at your kind of your capacity of what you are at that time. And I didn't really have a lot of running fitness, so bit up to the Hyrox in May of that year, so maybe 4 months, 5 months training, 4 months or so. But I still lifted weights. I still did what I always did in the gym. I just added some running into it, and that started pretty gradually. To be honest, 1 to 2 runs a week. If that. Fast forward to that event, actually, it was probably the worst experience I've had for a long time in terms of how, if anyone's gone and jumped into a Hyrox gear, on paper it's like, yeah, looks all right. I could do this. Don't do it for real. It was pretty. I got sub 70 tired, which it's a bit of a benchmark, and I was pretty surprised at that. But I was, on the brink of cramping up. I did not feel fit or properly tuned to that type of fitness for a while. But it did, as everyone knows if they've done one. Yeah, same with the marathon, really. Soon you hate it when you're in it. It's like, it's so painful. As soon as you finish, when's the next one going to be? So
Yeah.
that's kind of spiraled into maybe 20 odd, I don't know, maybe 22 races now later across those 2-3 years. But along the way, I hadn't done any like official road racing or anything like that. No 10Ks, no, nothing. I mean, I've run distances in the Marines, but that was either under load, like on your back, weight on your back, or in boots, or just a physical test to pass. So nothing like, bib number, chip on, time to start, mass participation run.
Yeah.
In this year, I decided to do, actually, I can't remember when the ballot was, but I applied for London Marathon of this year. I ran it this year, but must have been the year before I applied. Luckily, got the 1% chance, or whatever it is, 0.5% chance of getting it. I was like, oh, it's come through. Brilliant, I'm doing this then. So that spurred on the training and the kind of goal to get ready for that in April, I think. And along the way there, I did a Cambridge half marathon as well, because it's on my doorstep, pretty much 10 miles down the road. It's a good race, and it's also just far enough back from London Marathon. But yeah, this year, went Cambridge half, London Marathon, and then, as you alluded to, I got 3:09 something in London. Pretty hot day. I probably was in I'd say around mid 3:05 shape, I reckon. But the cramp set in. If anyone was racing it and they listened to this, so I mean, I was hanging on, to be honest, at the end.
Yeah.
However, I did with that time. I was like, yeah, that's not bad. I still want to get that sort of sub 3, and that kind of. I looked around some majors, didn't have the time to get in, so didn't missed any ballot spaces. So I was like, Berlin was on the cards, but I was like, I missed that anyway. So I went to Dublin, and I was 50-50 in that, really, in whether I was going to go. Birmingham Hyrox was that weekend, so I ran in, but I kept both, stupidly maybe, but I just kept the Birmingham Hyrox race on Thursday, flew to Dublin Friday, and run on Sunday.
Yeah.
With the marathon being the peak race, the Birmingham Hyrox was quite a shakeout. But it was an hour and whatever shakeout I ran.
How far you've come, mate, called but a Hyrox shakeout. That's quite impressive.
Exactly, yeah. So that's the journey in the last say from my 20s in the Marines. 30s was business and lifting weights. And then from the 40s, I'm transitioning into this, call it everyday athlete or whatever. I kind of into that mindset of being the best I can be at all-round fitness. I want to run. I want to do that for Hyrox as well, but also want to be strong and in shape and just fit and healthy, really. I think my fitness really sort of dropped off lifting weights. Looked good, but couldn't run 5K. Or, I mean, the short-term fitness might have been there and some CrossFit WODs, but actually I thought, I need some aerobic capacity here, and I want to do something that's a little bit more challenging as well, and a bit more longer duration than some of these shorter events. So that's kind of in a nutshell, in 10-minute nutshell. That's
good, mate. Thank you.
Appreciate
it. So what made you join the Marines?
Well, forces have been in the family, really. So my uncle was in the Marines, my dad was in the army. I always thought I was going to go down that route at some point. out of school, probably not straight away. I wanted to take a year just to work and from sixth form, but then I wanted to get that process going, and I could well have could still be in now if I'd if I had the right courses come along. I was on operations away when some of the promotional courses came. Missed one. I was a bit like, bit of a kick in the teeth kind of thing. Come back and younger lads are promoted, and here's the courses you want to get on. I'd done a lot of the roles I wanted to do in there anyway, and at that point I was like, yeah, I'm going to leave at this point and try and go for another stage of my life. But I could well have still been in, because I know lads who are in now. They live a great life, but it is quite a hard family life, hard life with your partner. There's a lot of uncertainty just traveling, whilst they might not be out on operations at this time, in our time right now, but there's still the part of being sent to America for 2 months to train, which is great if you're a young lad. If you've got family, if you've got young kids, you're not going to see them. So I also thought, if I want to, I've done everything I want to do as a young guy. Now I need to look at growing up, I suppose, in a way, because it is it's like they call it a Peter Pan lifestyle, right? You get to run around, stay fit, get paid to be fit, shoot guns, do cool stuff. And at some point, there's guys who don't grow up, but then there's other ones who just are like, I really do miss that civvy life. I want the kids, I want the downtime. I don't want to have to look at my phone and go, I've got to be back on camp tomorrow and drive across half the country just on call or whatever. So yeah, it kind of got me into it in terms of trying to be best I can be in terms of shape, fitness, challenges. Just wanted some challenge. If I was going to join the forces, I wanted to be going at the best rather than work my way up from another role. So yeah, kind of always been, I'd say things have like, I've kind of fell into it, but I've always been around that type of mindset and that sort of military background, I suppose.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
It's kind of inevitable in a way, whether it was either the Marines or, years back I said I wanted to be a chef, but that's because I like food and I wanted to, I saw Jamie Oliver on TV, but those phases passed, right? Luckily, I went to the Marines, but yeah.
How long were you in the Marines for, Rob? Sorry, how long were you in the Marines for?
Pretty much a decade. So from 20 to 30. Yeah.
And what was as much as you can say here, what was the fitness regime? Because obviously everyone sees the TV stuff, and obviously we know that's not reality, but everybody sees the TV with the boots and the Bergens and all that. And obviously I've seen guys at races doing like quick paces in the whole get up with the bag and you always give them a tip of the hat when they go past you. So what was the fitness regime like?
It was actually thinking back, it was 2003. It was pretty old school. In regards to now, it's evolved quite a lot from CrossFit, from a sports science background.
Okay.
But yeah, when I was, you would say when I was in, but yeah, the lads, when we were there, the training team was saying, when I was in the 80s, it was like this. And things do evolve, of course, and they get better. But it was old school running. Basically, you'd have a really fast troop sergeant. You'd get up, you'd go, let's go for a 4 miler. He would set out rapid pace. We're all just hanging on. If you don't hang on, you get thrashed even more when you stop for a bit of a circuit. So you're getting in the river whenever you go out for a run, because that's just part of being just get submerged in the river, cold water.
Yeah.
It was really old school. Pick up your partners, fireman's carry, military type phys that you may use, bodyweight exercises. In terms of commando training, it is pretty structured. They do take you from civvy from recruit to commando in 32 weeks. Again, I think a lot of that has evolved now to being more sports science based, but it was still pretty structured in that respect.
Yeah.
You did get thrashed and put through things that you may have to do when you're on ops. Hard weighted phys. We were expected to carry a lot of weight, long distances, or drag your partner out. Your oppo, your mate, out of danger, and he's 12, 15 stone with weight as well, with kit on.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to test these things and and just get absolutely hammered to a point where you can deal with them and they can't kind of become the norm.
Yeah.
Running was a big part because you just have to cover distance on your feet, but it is also in boots. It's not in, you do running trainers, but a lot of the time spent in boots. So I'm really finding,
Alpha flies, no.
no, and I'm finding now that my feet are, my arches are pretty much destroyed from running in boots, I think. And
Can imagine it.
my running gait, which I got to, is actually pretty terrible compared to what I thought. I was like, oh yeah, fine. And looked at, seeing that from behind.
Yeah.
And my feet getting scanned. I'm like, this is what years of running in boots does. And it's a different type of kind of running. You kind of shuffle and you can't open your legs out and stuff. But
Yeah.
it's quite hard fizz, and it does get you really fit. And as that is, as a young man, you're pretty robust to just recovering from stuff. I mean, we could go out on the piss and come back the next morning, wake up and go for a 5-mile fast run as a troop and just deal with it.
Yeah.
God, I wouldn't even go out now, to be honest. I'd pull out now, but I'll just save it for the run in the morning fresh. But yeah, I think it's now evolved pretty. They've included a lot of CrossFit type training, a lot of strength-based exercises in the gym. We didn't really go into the gyms. There was gyms on camp, but it wasn't as big. There was lads who used to like to lift weights, but a lot of just used to do military phys, even off their own back, just go for runs. I never had any structure to my training. I'll just be like, I'll just go for a 6-miler today. Just run out, no pace, just like, I'll just run till it's quite tough and come back in. I never looked at anything, heart rate. I'd maybe track the time or a distance, and that's it really. That's kind of very sort of loose way of training. And I can only imagine sort of now, I'm saying, on social media, see some of the guys who are in the forces sharing what they do and stuff, and it does look like it's evolved. But yeah, it's a very hard but good way to get someone young into fitness and pretty fit pretty quickly.
What was the so what would have been like the maximum distance you would have ever ran, like with?
Well, one of the commando tests was 30-miler at the end of, so the last of, I think, week 30 of 32, you do 4 tests. I should know the order, kind of forget. I think you start off with a 9-mile speed march, which is run at about 10-minute mile pace with 21 pounds of weight around you in your webbing and a weapon.
Yeah.
And you all do it as a troop, so in step, 9 miles in 90 minutes, and you come into camp. You have to be smart even after that. You have to be, as a troop, all the way around that 90-minute evolution. And then it's a 6-mile course, but there's an endurance course. So Tarzan, so it starts in the Woodbury Common, which is a training area. You do cross country, like tunnels. It's the one they used in the advertising campaign, the sheep dip, which is where a guy goes gets chucked under the tunnel, underwater, gets his trousers snagged, whatever, and he's panicking under there and gets dragged out. And it's an old school advert, which was around when I was joining up. It's quite good to watch, probably find it on YouTube. But you do that course, 2-mile course, cross country, and then a 4-mile road run as fast as you can back. That's about, I think that was about 70-minute cutoff. I forget now, I should know, but yeah, that's he finishes with the shoot as well. So that endurance course is quite tough. There's a Tarzan assault course on camp, which is 13-minute cutoff, which was high obs course, and then an assault course on the bottom field. And that was probably the hardest one because it's from 0 to 100 miles an hour, flat out as fast as you can go, navigating obstacles, all with your kit on, weapon, webbing. And then the 30-miler was the end of that, which is when you get presented your greenberry. And if you pass that anyway, that's 8 hours of walk run basically across as a group, across Dartmoor.
Right.
Finishing with a presentation if you pass it of your berry.
Brilliant.
There's certain times throughout training where you have to do different tests. So one was a 200-meter fireman's carry of your partner, which is in 90 seconds, which was hard graft, especially if all the big lads are looking for us lighter guys to carry. But then it doesn't matter really. You kind of try and get someone the same size, but someone's picks you up, and then he's 2 stone heavier. Doesn't matter. You still got to carry him. It's still at the same time. So you got to try and pass the bottom field pass out. Is like an assault course run, then a 200-meter fireman's carry, and a 30-foot rope climb. and with all kit on and stuff. So it's all pretty hardcore military stuff. 30 miles yet was the longest. We've done yomps, which carrying weight, just walking, navigating across land for further. But yeah, 30 miles was the biggest testing training anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done courses previously, been on certain courses that cover distance over the hills, and I've done a couple of 100 kilometers in a few weeks, just mountains and hill stuff, but with a lot of weight. That's kind of run walk to try and make time and distances. But the in terms of running, there was a test which was 10 miles in 70 minutes. At that point, I was some undulated road running up and down hills, but I stupidly ran in. At that time, I was wearing barefoot running trainers.
Oh, yeah.
Put them on. My calves were ruined. I made it in 60, something like 68 minutes at that point, but I couldn't walk for a week. My calves in those barefoot trainers were ruined. That was a mistake. But yeah, not really like a huge amount of distance running, to be honest.
Yeah. Good. So good foundation by the sounds of that then. So fast forward into like, so when you started to move into the more, because for anyone who doesn't know, especially if you listen to this and you're primarily in the running or a marathon space, that it's quite a relatively common held belief, because I know of quite a few people in the Hyrox world, that running is probably and Rob will probably shoot me down for saying this, it's probably the most important component of that event, because there is 5 miles to run. In the sense of, you see the people who are the most successful. They're not usually slow runners. They might be a little bit better at the actual events in the middle, but actually, because other element, and this is from what I've done for myself, because some of the other events are also endurance, like the ski and the row, you don't really get a lot of respite. So you need to build up your aerobic capacity, even through running or whatever else. So what was it that made you think, when you sort of went through that CrossFit journey, that sort of meathead journey as it was, but lifting the weights, to actually know I want to go the other way and look at more endurance-based stuff?
Yeah, I think I've seen a lot of people do Hyrox, and I like the variance of it. I mean, I probably underestimated how much running played a big part. It's over 50% of it, over 50. And it's excuse me one sec. And it's I had the strength background, I think, but what I've learned and what I'm still learning really is there's so many different components to that fitness. You can be a great runner and still struggle massively. Like there was recently a marathon runner who, I mean, he must have been stick thin. He's fast. He's a very fast mountain runner. I forget his name. Semi-popular, I suppose, I guess. But he'd done a jumped into a Hyrox race. He kept the running pace for a brief period of time. As soon as he hit the stations, that just tanked. He had no compromised running capacity, as they call it, or that threshold, anaerobic threshold level.
Yeah.
He didn't maintain anything. And he just, I mean, I can't remember his time. I want to say it was like 1 hour 20 something, and he was a very fast. I'm sure he's like a 2:09 marathon, 2:10 or something, stupidly quick. And it nailed him. He couldn't do it. But then there's guys who look like, and you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but these guys don't look fit. They're absolutely flying around because their tolerance to run pretty quick, sub 4 minute Ks, but continually keep that tempo, that pace and that tempo, even under fatigue, is where the sort of winning formula is. You don't have to be super fast runner. Well, I know a couple who are really fast, like they can run a 3:30k pace easily, and as soon as they get under weight, pro weight sleds and things, just kill them. And I've seen the other way where you've got really strong guys. You probably tanked it past loads of them. They're like, these look, they give it the big one and they look pretty fit. They can't run. They've got no mechanics or no real capacity to run. I'm no natural runner, to be honest. I'm pretty from say the Marines, not really just going out to run and not really having any technique or any structure to it. I'm quite an unnatural runner, but I kind of get around it and try to brute force my way through, and only really looking at now better technique, better sort of energy system, training sessions versus just going and trying to hammer the pace or hammer the workouts and things. And it's yeah, I think people, when they look at it, they need to, I mean, there's so many different bodies and people, fitness backgrounds doing a Hyrox race, that it's great to see them doing it, but you can think, well, if you just put a bit more effort into learning to run better, your time would fly down it. Beginners especially, they've got so much, the beginners gains that can be won at the start, when small changes, small little bits that they can work on can make a massive jumps in their, finish times, if they care about that, of course. I mean, a lot of people are just doing it to complete it, and it is a challenge. But if there's people who want to try and hit benchmarks, maybe need to look at the running aspects. And if they need time off feet, there's other ways you can do certain sessions in the week. Using, biker, watt bike, air bike, row, ski. They're all great ways to still get that aerobic capacity, but also save the running time for, if they're worried about repetitive injuries or picking up things that gonna hamper them in their journey. So I don't know if you do you spend a lot of time on machines, or you find
Well, actually, you say that, it's interesting because I think, and there's a lot we can all learn from this. So one thing I've realized when I was coaching some people earlier this year, we had quite a few people go through the spring marathons, and we had obviously people get injured. I work with people over 35, people are going to hit niggles and knocks. And what I found was that, and I did a bit of research on this myself, was that actually you can still you can still do some training for a marathon without running. Because ultimately you can do an interval session on a bike, you can do an interval session on the, on the assault bikes and things like that, and still get a very good workout. I mean, I hurt my foot a few weeks ago, and I did 10 miles on the assault bike in like quite a low heart rate, and it was great because it was, you felt like you did something, but it was still. So I think we get too caught up. I think runners get too caught up with, I've just got to run, versus, well, actually no, you can do other things. And one of the reasons why I like Hyrox is, I'm very similar to yourself, Rob. I always lifted weights, and then I found running a bit later in my fitness journey. But it's the intricacy of it, it's the technical elements of the transitions, and it's the variance. And it's like, how do I, because my mistakes that I made, obviously I won't go off on a tangent here, but one of the biggest mistakes I've always made with Hyrox is, well, I can run, I'm fine. I don't need to. Whereas this time, the last one I did, I actually doubled down on my running, because the time before I said, oh, I can run, I'll just leave that. And actually that's what, so it's just a fact. But I think it's a fascinating thing for everybody just to see the different types of people that do it, and actually what it teaches you about how to transfer your skills into different areas. It just makes you more rounded, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I on that note, I prepared for the London Marathon quite well. Actually had a coach program my running aspect for me. And there were some pretty brutal runs, and some, as you'd expect in marathon training, you'd get some longer runs towards the end of that big block of training. But I've gone out for 25, 30K runs, 33, I think might have been one of the longer ones. I made a decision, which, right or wrongly, and say, don't take this as advice that everyone should do, but going up to Dublin marathon, I was like, I'm going to focus on running for a Hyrox capacity, or half marathon maybe capacity, but not marathon, because I was 50-50 whether I was going to run the Dublin one or not. So I never ran anything more than half marathon leading up to Dublin, which
I want to talk to you about that. Sure, I want to talk to you about. Yeah, I told you about
that. And I think the hardest one I did, which was a 12 miles at marathon pace, and I didn't prepare that well, to be honest. I hold my hands up. I got up on a Sunday morning. It was cold, wet. Maybe had a coffee and a small snack. Went out. I did have a gel in my pocket, but I kind of just went out. I'm going to do this, and that was a pretty hard 12 miles. I've halfway around, I was like, there's no way I'm holding this pace for 26. This is ridiculous. I got back. I had about a K walk, jog home as a recovery. I'm like, that would kill me. But that's not a race, so I can't rejudge it on that. And you'll have good and bad training sessions. But that was probably the longest, hardest run I did. 12 miles plus another mile or two added, either way. And otherwise, I kind of went into it to Dublin going, I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know how it could either go very well, or I'm just going to get round and I wasn't too fussed on the outcome. I think that's the best thing with.
I think
I
that
wasn't.
play a part. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I didn't have a. I'd like to have got as close as I could to a 3 hour mark, but I was like, it could be 3:30. This could be. I could actually be nowhere near this. I just don't know. Especially I had a bit of muscle soreness from 2 days ago from the Hyrox that I'd run. I did that run that at like 70%. I kind of run it round as a bit of a, let's see how this goes, warm up. I didn't want to give the ticket. I couldn't get a refund anyway, so I'm going to turn up and do it. But I always had, the marathon was the peak race, but I just didn't know how I was going to turn up. And weird, I'd touch wood, had no injuries going up to it really, nothing pending in legs or anywhere really. Feet, they're fine, ankles and stuff. And not that I really had any going up to London. But yeah, it went well. Yeah.
So so just to put this into context for the guys listening from a marathon point of view. So you've done both your marathons. You're 42. You did them both at the age of 42. Yeah, those are your first two marathons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Time wise, you mentioned one. So you did 3:09 London in that heat, which is obviously very impressive in that heat, particularly first time gate. And then Dublin was 2:58. Is that right?
2:58 something. I'd have to
2:58 something. Yeah.
exactly,
Okay.
but yeah,
So
it's yeah.
So basically, I think that what I want to ask is a couple of things because obviously, what I've always, like I said at the start, really, I've liked your approach to training and the way your philosophy, the way you teach, because it's not really about it is kind of it's not really about you, if that makes sense. Because obviously, you perform at a very good level. I know you've won your age category at Hyrox. Am I right in saying that before?
I've won it not at the Worlds, but I've won it. I've won.
As you know, about you won. I mean, obviously terminology, but as in open, you've won open, haven't you? So you've won an open category, yeah. So basically, Hyrox, quickly for those who don't know, you got open and pro. Pro's like next level where the people compete and win the actual titles. Open is still very, very hard, but it's like, so Rob's actually finished first in his category for open in his age category, which is still hard because I did a decent time last time. I was 31st in 45 to 49. So that tells you there's some monsters out there. There's some real beasts, even at my age, so and older. So yeah, I was, because it shows the field. So talk to me about your approach to sort of the marathon element at your age. So talk to me about, because obviously I'm 48. I don't class myself as old, and I don't think you are, based on the, because people are doing this. Kipchoge is 41. So what? Talk to me about the marathon experience, the whole thing, the training, the recovery, any sort of your mindset around the whole thing.
Yeah. So this time around, or for London, or just
both? Actually, I'm interested because what I want to focus on, Rob, is just the London, particularly because of the heat. And the transition from sort of Hyrox hybrid to that, and then the journey to the sub 3 in Dublin.
Yeah, I mean London, January. I think the first Hyrox this year was in, I'll say, mid to late January. Between then and I went to World Championships for Hyrox in Chicago in June. I'd done seven or eight Hyrox races, a half marathon and a full marathon in what, 5.5 months or something, and that. On paper, I looked at it, I was like, this is going to go one of two ways. I'm going to be picking up injuries and not make them all, or I'm going to make them all. But obviously in that, they can't all be peak races. So I had to choose when I wanted to try and train for, and really peak. The marathon training probably didn't serve me best for Hyrox, but that was kind of the peak race. London was kind of where I wanted to sort of perform, I suppose. And I believe I did have the fitness, had it been dealt with better on the day with the heat and whatnot, and just didn't hydrate enough. It's very hard to when you're running, especially the first one. I just didn't take on enough water, and I believe so anyway. But and maybe that, yeah, I sweat loads anyway now. Yeah. Body's kind of, I don't know, it must be a 40 thing, 40 plus, but it's ridiculous how much I overheat doing Hyrox and running as well. So I've got to make sure I get the fluids in. But training wise, obviously, yeah, as you know, through the winter or the earlier months in the year, the running's very different to then coming into spring. I'd say I had a running coach do my programming from that side of things, and he put 3 to 4 runs a week, maybe max, not super heavy. I can't remember. The mileage was probably at best 50 to 60k a week, which could be big for someone, I suppose, but in terms of marathon, I mean, I don't know where that sits. if that's high or low.
I'll caveat that. So my plan, so my sub three plan, as I call it, which I've done twice, is the maximum you do. I think is 64 miles, but that's the max. And that's like compared to some people. There's some people out there doing 80s and 90 miles.
Yeah,
I'll see some. Yeah, it's such a struggle. Obviously, I won't go off on this tangent, but it's so fascinating that, like you saying, then just doing that 13 miler for Dublin. Because I remember seeing you on Strava and going, he's not doing many long runs. You notice, don't you? Because obviously, I mean,
yeah,
I know you, so I'm interested in your journey, and it's just fascinating. But actually, you're right, and a lot of people do. There's so much. There is quite a bit. I do think that, obviously, being a coach myself, there are some principles I believe, but actually, no, you'll be surprised the variance. So
yeah, yeah. I think it depends on the individual, isn't it? But you don't always have to kind of do what's trending or what you think people are saying that you need to do. You kind of need to feel it, I suppose, and see where you go. But yeah, I ran what Ash had programmed. I did my own strength programming. I did a couple of erg based, so ski or row erg or in bike, just some of those down days, which I'd do an aerobic session, but it'd be easy. And then I'd also, kind of keep up the strength training, because I believe that's pretty important for a lot of people.
absolutely, yeah.
Running, you kind of, not just for injury prevention, but just for just having a better structure around your form and technique. If you're stronger in the hips, your ankles, your upper body, even, as you know, there's so many different varieties of running technique that people fall into when they're tired, good and bad, but mainly bad, I suppose. That if you can be stronger when you're tired and have a better frame and better, you're gonna be more efficient. You're gonna feel better. You're not gonna maybe pick up any injuries, especially in those sort of higher mileage weeks when you're training for that marathon. So I kind of just kept the Hyrox specific stuff into. So if anyone doesn't know, there's a lot of pushing, pulling sleds, ski erg, row erg, carrying kettlebells. I didn't really do a lot of the farmer's carries. Is kind of like one of those, really. I did deadlift with barbells. I did back squat. These aren't necessary, fundamentals that people do need to do if they don't lift weights like that. You can definitely get the strength from machines. But I've got the technique, I suppose, so I've tended to fall into doing those as I normally do. And yeah, kind of just navigated. The running part was just like, I'm just going to trust the process and let coach that, do what he says. I pretty much stuck to the letter. If something's programmed, I'll just do it as written. Even if I write something myself, I'm like, well, it's written now, I've got to do it. Even if halfway through I'm like, this doesn't feel right, or I'm going to sack this bit off, I'll still do it because that's what I've written. I'm like, well, you learn from if things go well or not. Whatever. It's better to stick to something, have a plan, than just wing it. So I did it to the letter, basically. Had a good sort of prep phase, I suppose, leading up to London. Felt pretty good on the day. Did a 1:28 half, I suppose, in that, whatever it was, coming across Tower Bridge, and then about a mile 18, I think the cramp started to set in. Oh, this isn't planned, and kind of just greased it out for 8 miles of just trying to go a little bit faster, a little bit slower, just trying to stop that cramp from sitting in massively. And then how that differed, I suppose, I carried on some Hyrox training up to Chicago in June, and then took a summer, a little bit of downtime, a couple of weeks, if that. Took a summer or 16-week block of trying to build my running back up. So I went for it's probably about 2 to 3 runs a week, but one long bike erg session as well, which was about 90 minutes or so. Quite VO2 max based on sometimes, and some threshold, and some just steady state across those 16 weeks with some Hyrox, but not massively specific. And now what I'm finding out now is just doing some testing this week as we're speaking, but ready for another 3 months programming. But I've got good VO2 max, good aerobic base. My threshold for Hyrox is a bit off from focusing on those areas, but it did lend to a 2:58 win of a marathon. So
Absolutely.
there's payoffs. And at the moment, I'm not Hyrox race fit. Run London in the weekend last week. Solo wasn't PB, but it felt really hard. It felt like harder than I've ever run. And I ran fast, 4:07 pace average probably for the Ks,
Nice.
but just didn't feel like that threshold was met quickly, and it didn't feel particularly great. Flip that to I did a Thursday race and a Sunday over the men's doubles, and we ran a 56-minute doubles, and that was top end VO2 max, like pretty hard. But then you get rest. Don't know if you've done a doubles race, but
I've never done a doubles, mate. 4 solos, yeah.
quite nice.
I can imagine, yeah. Yeah.
No, it's hurting, but you might get 20 seconds rest at the end of this run. So you keep tanking around and kind of work hard for the other person.
Yeah.
And that approach works. I think it's very hard to build. I'm sure there's running plans and programs that you've done and you've designed that can build all aspects. Hyrox is a bit different because you've got that. It's very lactate, like threshold level racing. And if you're missing that part, you could be the best runner in the world, but if you go over that point, if you think I can run faster, well, you're going to hit that threshold.
Yeah.
It's going to accumulate. You're going to fail in some of the stations, and then your running's going to be off from there. So the best guys and girls can actually run at their threshold, but they still maintain that fast, fast K pace and have the capacity to do the work as well. But I like the point of Hyrox that you said about the variety. I liken it to golf really, because I play a lot of golf, and I don't play a lot now actually, or I wish to, but I can't with 3 kids. I can't play a lot of golf. I'm lucky I can still pick up a club and play to a decent standard as well. But it's there's a lot of aspects to golf that come together, and one part might not be. You can work on something else. Maybe you just have to put it on the back burner for a while. With Hyrox, you've got to do the same really. You've got to go through blocks. Whereas a marathon or running program could potentially cover all the fitness you needed to hit a certain time frame, different runs throughout the week, whilst you can do them for Hyrox. There's also a lot of other things you need to put in there as well. You need to be good at sleds, burpees, ski erg, row, strength from carries. So I think it's a lot harder. You have to almost break it down into sections.
Yeah.
And I like the sort of philosophy of coaching philosophy of being able to sort of just explain to people that you can work at this point. Don't worry if things aren't right for now, because if you put this block in, you'll be better for this block. Then this one come along and you'll be better for this one. And by the end of your race, 3, 6, whatever months down the line, you'll have all the pieces together. That if you just work on things that feel good, they're nice to look at, the Instagram workouts, the ones that think that you make you feel like you're doing good work, hard sessions at 20, 30 minutes, you leave sweating. They're not the ones that are actually going to build your full sort of capacity. You'll be very good at doing those, but you're missing an aerobic base, or you're missing some strength, some compound strength or whatever. So I like putting everything together. And as I said, right now I've done some work for the top end and the lower end of my fitness. The middle part, which is the Hyrox specific, is now a 3-month goal for me. So that's kind of what ties me to sort of keep going, is the constant improvement. I'm not going to touch with it as long as I don't get injured. I'm not going to stop doing other areas, but they're not going to be a priority. And the next half marathon I've got is Cambridge half in March as well. And that will just be something I do alongside the running, because the Hyrox, specific training, because the running will just tie in. I'll go out and I'll run 13 miles, but I might do 10 miler in the week anyway as a long run. So it's not like that's ever going to be out of touch. The full marathon, probably, that would need a specific time frame to do. I haven't got any booked in at the moment.
Yeah. So in terms of if we're talking to the 40+ athlete out there, what would you say to them as sort of from your coaching philosophy and the principles you've learned of particularly, doing different types of training, particularly performing at a very, very good marathon level, is what would you say to them about training philosophies, attitude? You talked about a few things already. About one thing that I really agree with, which is it's better to follow a plan than nothing. Even if the plan's even not that good, it's better to follow a plan than nothing. But yes, talk me through that, Rob. What would you say to those people?
So as I might have mentioned previously, someone who's 20 He's going to have such a different recovery process and be able to do things that you'd want to maybe, you probably want to follow some people, right, online, but make sure they align with who you are as well, because there's influencers out there who are, running back-to-back marathons, and they're doing a lot of things. I even Tom Hazard, I've just done 3 Hyrox races. Like I did 2 on Thursday, 1 on Sunday, and I've got people saying, "How are you recovering?" It takes me a week to recover from one. But that's just from conditioning, and then I've kind of probably built up a good level of conditioning to just doing an open solo race and getting and recovering from it.
Yes.
But I know that for people, that's going to be a big goal. So I wouldn't tell someone, I wouldn't say someone new to Hyrox to go, yeah, it'll be fine. Just do what I do, because they might not have the time, they might not have the conditioning capacity, or even just want to do that, right? So they're going to have to follow a slightly reduced process. Now, if in terms of running, if someone's following influencers on Instagram or something, and they're doing all these different things, I should be doing that workout, they're not a 40-something family person. No, they're a 20-something.
Usually, a lot of times.
They've literally, and they've kind of got time. Maybe they get products pushed to them, promoting this works, that works, whatever for them. You need to be, I suppose, real and just trust someone who's done it before. Like yourself, you've got the history in the background, and you're in the same position that some of these guys and women are, that have maybe had injuries, haven't got a huge schedule, huge gaps in their schedule to do this. So being realistic and going, what works, but what's simple enough around my lifestyle that's gonna slot in and not feel like I'm losing out because I'm not doing what this person is, who's 20 years younger. It's hard to, that's the social media game, isn't it? It's hard to ignore these though, all the flashy things that, that's what I should be doing, or I need that. Just looking back to what you actually, kind of trusting the process, trusting the person, and going, have they done it before? Have they got the experience and coaching, experience and knowledge to help me get there? Are they understanding my sort of situation? If I can't do a certain run, are they understanding, or are they going to smash me down for not doing it? I followed each coaching session to a T when I had a coach, but that's kind of, I always do that. If I have a client though, and they're like, I can't really do that today. This I'd obviously question first, is it just a mindset thing? Are they losing interest? Are they kind of, has they got something else going on? But if I know it's, I don't know, say it's a mum of 2, she's probably not going to have the time to do that. So I'd probably program something in that's going to work for her anyway. And she might send a reel or something going, should I be doing this? I mean, you could, but it's probably not best for you, because that girl's 20 and she's just left college and got loads of time, got no injuries, got no kids. Do what we do. Do what we said we're going to do, because that's going to work for you.
Yeah.
Because you're 40 with kids and the job or whatever. So it's about being, we in our Gen Pop gyms, we've got various age clients, but I'd say the biggest group is 40 to 60-year-old women, 60%, men 40% of our member base.
Yeah.
So we can relate to the last decade or so of training and coaching those clients, and as we're in that age group coming up to now as well, it's all relatable. I know that so and so is going to come in with an injury or slept funny and got a crook neck, so they're not going to be doing that. It's like, I can't do that today. That's fine. We know it. Whereas a 20-year-old coach might be like, why are you, stop being soft, go get. So it's empathy, it's kind of understanding, it's coaching experience. We kind of all bring that together into sort of how we coach and how we sort of train people, really.
Okay. Good. Thank you for that. So, a couple of final questions for me. I'm obviously always conscious of time. So, what would you say to anybody who is 40, who is, Well, actually, I'm going to give you two. I'm going to give you two questions. One question with two different angles. So, what would you say to anybody who's 40 and perhaps wants to maybe do something like a marathon or a Hyrox or something that's going to take them beyond their current, position? And secondly, what would you say to anybody who's looking to push that next level? So they're already sort of in the game, say from a marathon point of view or whatever it might be, but they're looking to go to that next level. So, firstly, what would you say to anybody who's 40, potential 40 plus, maybe looking to do something a bit stretching? What advice?
They depend on where they're starting. If they're brand new to the gym, training, fitness, if they've got the financial capacity to do it, invest in someone who knows what they're doing. In person if possible, or there's some great remote online coaches as well. But again, going back to that sort of influence thing, the person with the best marketing might not be the best coach. We know 20 something. We know 20 something coaches who look like they're doing the best work, but they're not going to understand the situation of someone who's 40. So if you find someone who has coached people of your similar age group, demographic, job, whatever it is, to a success of whatever, hire them. If you're doing it on your own, which you can definitely, I always try to go first on my own. I'm going to find out, just going to wing it and see. But I like to, I don't wing it, that's probably the wrong term. I go alone, but I do a lot of research and learn about what I need to do, follow people, and then just kind of disseminate the information that comes across to what's the best, what can I take on board, what can I disregard, and then how can I follow, and then kind of like a trial and error process. But I do a bit of research and learning before. So if you're keen and into that sort of aspect of doing it, do it yourself and going, not just for financial reasons, it's cheaper to do so, but just to start and see how you go. There's always for someone running fresh, if they run 5K or 10K, building up to a marathon, and you probably might disagree with, it's no different. It's just on a larger scale. You commit more time and more, a bit more structure to it. Obviously, running a 5K from scratch it's not going to take someone, again, depending on who they are. If they're massively overweight, you have to start with a weight loss program first. But from someone just relatively just out of shape a bit, wanting to run 5K, they can start gradually. There's programs out there, right? There's Couch to 5K. Runner apps and things that can guide you. I mean, your Garmin watch, you probably set a program and it would tell you what to do on the day. But for a marathon, you just need to extend that. You go, look, I need to commit 3, 6, depending on where they're starting, 12 months even, to go in. I'm all in on this goal. Now, things might come along, derail me, but actually the longer term goal is in my mind. So just trust the process. Even if you only get 80%, 90% of the program, you don't have to be perfect for the whole year. If you're training for a year, 6 months, whatever, it's still a long time. Just be consistent more than you're not, and then you'll be fine. You'll get there. Just trust the process.
Absolutely.
A lot of people starting out probably go out too hard too soon. 1 to 2 months in, they're like, I'll keep this up for a year. And that's where they're kind of losing interest, picking up injuries, not making the progress they think they should make in a short time. So for someone, if that's where a coach comes in, they can kind of sort of future pace the goal, the expectations, where someone needs to be and when, and go, look, it might look like you're not doing very well, but you're actually on course. Just stick with it, because in this time we're going to do this. I'm sure there's apps out there that do that as well for you, but it's nothing better than just someone in your corner who'd be able to reach out to. Even a message. I'm not feeling that great this week. Okay, well, we've got this, but do this instead. Whereas if you've got an app telling you and it doesn't know how you feel, you might just go, missed that. You miss one workout, it might snowball into sort of a stalling of progress, whereas a coach can kind of help keep you on board. So, I mean, if you've got the financial capacity to do that, hire a coach. You're starting out, that'll definitely help you. And even, I mean, if you're someone of experience and you're trying to cut down your time, that is probably the easiest way to do it. It's never going to be easy, but unless you're really into the learning about how you need to progress yourself and looking into, I mean, I've got the time. It's my job, I suppose, really. I love to just learn about more sports science stuff and things. I enjoy that, and I have the time to do that. So if someone's got a real time, full-time job, they've not got the time to put all their spare time into learning
Yeah.
how to progress their marathon time, what strength training to do. When they haven't got the time, they've literally barely got time just to put the training in. That's when someone or something, program, coach, whatever, even a training partner, if they know somebody who's doing the same thing as them, pairing up, and that accountability gives them better progress. But to get that next level progress from wherever they're at in their target, their goal, it will probably take exponentially more effort than it would from a newbie to go from running 5K to running a marathon. I'm saying it's any easier, but that person can just, all they've got to do is finish. For them, that's a win. For someone going from 3:30 marathon to a 3-hour marathon, 30 minutes is a long time
It's
to
a
chip
big
off.
jump. Yeah.
I mean, some people think that's manageable. I mean, you got to be realistic, but also it takes a lot more. A lot more. I mean, for me, going from 3 hours to 250, I can't even comprehend how to knock out like
Yeah.
9 minutes off. It's
It's
incredible.
different level, mate. Yeah. I mean, it took me when I went, my first two real attempts to sub 3 were 3:02 and 3:03 and 3:02. But honestly, even that 3 minutes at that level is an eternity. Because people would say to me, "Oh, it's only 3 minutes." I'm like, it's not. It isn't only 3 minutes. That extra 20 seconds across 26 miles at that pace is a lot.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's crazy. And that's the thing, if you're experienced, I suppose, and you want to keep chipping away, be realistic, I guess, and going, it might happen, it might happen quickly. It might just take a few years. But if you're you bought into that journey and you want to get that goal, you'll get there. You just got to just keep being consistent with it. But on that, I think I know I've got, I think it was 2:58, whatever, for Dublin. But I had to stop for a minute to the toilet, which I really needed a wee. And then I had a full bladder. It was painful, halfway in, and I had to stop. And so I actually wasted a minute. I say wasted, I mean, obviously I had a rest, but I was chasing the 3-hour pacer balloons, and they started a couple 100 meters in front of me anyway, and I always had them in sight. Come out the Portaloo, I was like, oh, they're gone, they've gone. So I spent 13 miles just trying to chip away
Yeah.
a couple of seconds every K of just like trying to get back in. And that's quite a good game to play, because I actually honestly didn't know. I didn't look at the time. All I looked at was pace and where are those balloons, and that was that was my game plan for the last half. But yeah, so at least I know I've got a minute in there somewhere.
Yeah, I was going to say, mate. Yeah, you've set the target now. Everyone's thinking, if you can stop for a toilet at 2:58. So one, yeah, go on.
I was going to say, because I had my mate run the Great North Run, and it was on a hot day, not this year, last year, and he didn't stop for the toilet during that, so he didn't take any fluids on, and he actually got heat illness at the end of it.
Right. Okay.
So I had that going in my mind. I was like, Katie didn't stop. I've got to stop. I've got to stop, because I just wanted to keep. And it was actually a wet, grey, cold day in Dublin, but still needed to take on the fluids.
Yeah. Oh, mate, absolutely. Yeah, I've done both ends of the scale, and to be honest, in prep terms, the only thing you can do when it's colder is, of course, it helps you maintain that pace across the distance, because you're not, like you said, especially I'm the same. I sweat buckets. So my first couple of marathons were really, really hot, and I think I've done them when it's been shivering cold, and actually it masks a lot. Because you haven't got that real need for fluids, but you still prep the same. I would still prep the same if it was going to be 20 degrees or 2 degrees. You're still going to, in my opinion, because there's not much you can do in your pre-race, because you're not a camel. As I always say to my clients, you can't take on more water pre-race. It's just going to come out. So it's managing your hydration strategy on the day. So that's really useful to know, actually. Thank you. So, right, my philosophical question, Rob, I always ask everybody. So just on the marathon side, in terms of your transition from sort of the Hyrox stuff to marathon, how would you say the marathon running in your 40s has changed you?
I think it takes me back to my 20s in the Marines, those sort of long endurance events where you kind of just almost lock into I don't know, it's hard to say, but just like a mindset that I'm like, right, I've got this massive task ahead. Kind of go inside and just switch off
Yes.
and go, just go through the motions. Do what in the military you had to practice things a lot, and you'd go into routines. So you do things so many times, you just get into routine. And I mean, for marathon running, quite simple, really. Yeah, as long as you let your legs turn over, get your pace going, get your rhythm, fuel when you need to. I had in my head it was every 22 minutes. I'll just take a gel. Had certain gels in, some with caffeine, some not. And I'd just go right, that one, just work across, and then I'd be like, always looking forward to that. Hit the pace. That, and then kind of just like keep chipping away, and then not be too distracted, I suppose, by whatever else is doing around you. Quite hard in London where everyone was crimping off to the side in cramp, and I was like, God, please, I don't want to be. But Dublin was easy. That's wrong to say. It wasn't easy. It was easy to switch off. It was grey, wet, raining, just kind of just straight into your zone. But again, I know it's probably not hard, not an easy thing for some people to do. It's quite hard, sort of say flow state, but it was just getting into that pattern. But with practice, you can kind of just switch off, which I like the aspect that it was the 3 hours plus of just focus and just going one after another, just keep stepping. Some of the shorter events you need to really be switched on, especially Hyrox. You need to know where you're going around the course, right? You can't.
Absolutely.
People do, like some of the elites get into a good flow state and then naturally just cruise. In their head, they say they don't even see anyone. They're kind of just in that zone. Most people starting Hyrox don't even know where they're going. So they need to be like wide awake, looking around, going, where have I got next? What we're doing? How many laps? So whereas a marathon, you kind of, as soon as you start, it's signpost. It's like you've got a track. You just got to keep going. You know what I mean? And obviously just avoid other people around.
Yeah.
And have your own little game plan, just chip away through that. So that was really, really sort of, I sort of relished that aspect of it. No navigation. You have to like know where you're going. You have to watch, to a degree, you have to watch your footing. You kind of just stick with your own pace. And it's quite nice in a way.
Good, mate. Thank you. So what's next for you then, Rob?
Just done London Hyrox. I've got a bit of an exhibition race, I suppose, with my mate. It's not hard for me, but I'm going to run him around Manchester Hyrox in January. But then really I've got 3 months there's the European Championships Hyrox, which is basically it's run like the Worlds, which is a pro level, but this one's open category.
Okay.
That's in London Olympia in March sometime. Then I'm going to do a pro doubles with a young lad who's pretty rapid. So I've got to be fit enough to keep up with him in that same week. And then, that's it. I've already qualified for this year's World Championships, luckily, in Stockholm in June. So that's the next one. So got March, half marathon in Cambridge in March, which as I said is just going to be part of my training really. And then June, and that's it. So I would like to try and get one of the majors in major marathons when I can. Obviously, it's quite popular to get ballot places. I didn't get Berlin. I did apply just in case, but I didn't get it. And I will, I'll look at them. I think in the near future. Love to chip away at some of those majors really around the world, which is always nice to. I mean, Sydney's now joined it for quite a trek, but couple in America to maybe make the trip over to. So in the next decade, hopefully I get 7 majors done. And that's kind of the running side. I think would I go into triathlon or something? Maybe, I don't know. It's a lot of time on the bike, isn't there? Really, so I haven't got that. I haven't got that much time spare.
Yeah.
But you never know. Let's say never. But
thank you, Rob. Appreciate that. And everyone will be watching to see what you do next. So I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. So, with Rob. So if you want to drop Rob a follow on Instagram, I highly recommend it. Whether you're training for anything, particularly the mindset that Rob approaches his training and coaching with, as he's alluded to today, I think he's well worth following him for. So you're Rob_Foster on Instagram, aren't you? Am I right in saying that?
You can tag it. It's Rob Foster, and then I think it's double underscore at the end of it. Someone must have had the single underscore, but
Okay, yeah.
my name is underscores in the
Yeah, so you'll find him. You'll clearly see it's Rob because obviously he's pictures. There'll be a lot of Hyrox.
picture. Tag me in the description of this if you want.
Obviously, what I'll do is I'll put all the stuff in. I'll put all the stuff in the description so you can drop Rob a follow over on Instagram. So please do that, and don't forget while you're there to follow me as well at 12 Months to Marathon to get your daily content and tips. If you're brand new to the podcast, please subscribe wherever you get your podcast from, Apple or Spotify. I appreciate that. And if you want to drop me a star rating on either of those platforms, is much appreciated. It very much helps me. And then please feel free to share this with your friends, particularly if there's anybody out there who you know who potentially is looking at, maybe doing a little bit of both. Maybe a marathon or Hyrox or going one way to the other or the other way back, as the case may be. So thank you very much for listening. As always, if you head to Instagram, 12 Months to Marathon, at my bio, click the link. If you're over 35 and you want to join my free running community on School, you can do. Just go to at 12 Months to Marathon, click the link in the bio, and you can click there and join for free, and I'll let you straight in where we can take you away from the noise of social media and you can engage with other runners similar to yourself. So thank you very much again, Rob. Thank you everybody for listening, and I will speak to you all very soon indeed. Thanks again.